I'm really looking forward to getting out, perhaps to the cinema or to go out for a meal. And if you're able to do that, it's really important that you take a face covering with you and that you're really careful to follow all of the rules in place at that venue. I'd like to thank the hospitality sector for all that they've done to keep us safe. Please play your part in helping them to keep us safe.
As we gather this morning, we remember those we have lost, those who have lost loved ones over the year. We give thanks for all who have served on this council in the past years, those who continue and those who are new. We pray all will serve with humility and grace and strive to do the best for all. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Right, that's better. I actually probably better when I'm muted off. I shall continue without going on. My activities have been controlled, as you all have, by the virus. But despite the coronavirus and restrictions, I have been able to visit quite a few of our offices around the county, albeit quite often only do it by virtue. But I am very proud to have been their chairman, having seen what tremendous effort and work our people have put in to keep supplying our services to the residents of Nottinghamshire throughout the pandemic. I was very amused of one of my visits when I was asked to judge the department's best Christmas cake, which, if you do that virtually, is difficult when you come round to tasting. I'm very delighted to be able to tell you that our staff and councillors have managed to raise £3,464 for my chosen charity, My Sight Knots. So I thank you all for the contributions, particularly Melanie Brooks and Iris Peel for raising money through the 10-kilometre Monsell Trail run. And if you've been onto the High Peak and you've been to Monsell you know that it's a graft as well as an enjoyment. Also, I would like to thank Viola for the money that they've raised through the Knots Recycle campaign. And I'll also want to thank those of my councillors who were able to contribute for up to £4,000, which we were able to put into the My Sight Kitchen project, which will allow the charity to help blind or partially sighted people to live more independent lives. I'd also like to give a very personal thank you to my chaplain, the Reverend Liz Murray, in many ways. And so, Liz, if you can come forward, can you please accept these flowers and a little secret from me and the County Council? This is where we get technical.
Please. Watch this.
Thank you. Thank you. This is where I come downstairs and fall over.
Better than me coming upstairs and falling over.
Thank you. I also wish to thank my two helpers, and that's Daisy Lee, who unfortunately is back at the office, keeping it warm and going through, and Sarah Ashton, without whom over the year I would have been totally lost. And I'd like to present them both with some flowers. Well, I can't do that for Daisy because she's away, but I'm hoping that Sarah Ashton will be able to take them for me. So, Sarah.
So that's these.
Down to my greenhouse. And finally, the last token I would wish to make is to my wife Linda, who unfortunately can't be here today, but who has put up with me and supported me for the last year, and she'd probably say for the last 50 years as well. Linda and I, was our intention to be here today to see the new incomings coming in, and then on Saturday to sail out of Hull to Germany and not come back until September. However, the virus decided it got other ideas, and at the moment, Germany won't allow me in. And if they did, the United Kingdom won't let me out. Well, I am waiting to see something happens which allows me to be able to go down there and start my own period of time. So, while we have been thwarted, and we all, I suspect, have been thwarted with your holidays and things, can I say, please overcome the virus. I wish you all Godspeed and a good life. Thank you. And now can I ask my Vice Chairman, Andy Sissons, to say a few words. Andy?
Thank you, Chairman. This is the last time, some of you will be pleased to know, that I'll be able to address the County Council. And I'd like to say one or two thank yous. For the last 8 years, I've been privileged to serve Mansfield South and, of course, the whole of Nottinghamshire, our wonderful county. And I'd like to thank the people of Mansfield for entrusting me with that task. I'd also like to thank the officers of the council. I won't name them because it could turn into an Oscars ceremony, but the officers of the council who've given me support and guidance and friendship over the last 8 years. I couldn't put a price on it, so thank you all. Also, I've been honoured to be Vice Chairman of this council for the last year in support of our outgoing Chairman, Stuart Wallace. It really is an honour to do that. I'm not quite made Chairman, but the public have spoken, so I won't be able to do that, but it really has been an honour. And it's been a strange year. Myself and Stuart, we've not been able to do the civic duties that normally Chairman and Vice Chairman would be doing. The pandemic sort of that. So I would like to wish the incoming Chairman and Vice Chairman all the very best, and I hope they have a better year. I couldn't leave this stage without mentioning the former leader of the council, Mrs. Kay Cutts. We didn't always agree with what she did, but I don't think anybody would doubt the hard work, the dedication, the passion, the knowledge and wisdom that she put into her long political career. And I think we would all wish Kay and her husband a long, happy and healthy retirement. Something that Stuart's already mentioned, I don't think we could praise enough, and it couldn't be overstated, the effort and hard work put in by members, officers and partnership organisations in addressing the challenges that the pandemic put forward. But of course a ship needs a captain, and I hope that the exemplary leadership and professionalism displayed by our Chief Executive Anthony May receive due recognition for that. Finally, to members, a plea really, two things, to returning members and the new members who are just setting out on that steep learning curve. Just two things. During the next 4 years, please never forget the people who put you here, and always treat, the second thing, always treat other members and officers with respect. Thank you, and thank you, Chairman.
I remembered this time. Thank you, Andy. Can I now ask for nominations for Chairman of the County Council until the annual member of 2022? Do I have anybody wish to move?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to nominate Councillor Mike Quigley as Chairman of the County Council for the forthcoming year. I've known Mike since I first joined the Conservative Party in Bassetlaw, just before he became leader of the District Council in 2006. I was a new recruit to campaigning, who eventually came to serve alongside him at Bassetlaw, and I owe so much of my learning and growth to Mike's leadership, support and friendship. I've come to know him well over the years, and we've worked on a number of election campaigns together, including his first successful bid for Notts County Council in 2009. The 13 elections were a sad loss for Retford, in my opinion, but Mike was re-elected in 2017 and again this year, not least because he's a hard-working divisional councillor who serves the residents of Retford West and gets things done. Mike has served as Vice Chairman of the Audit Committee, Vice Chairman of the Police Authority and as a member of the Fire Authority. Mike was born in Nottingham but moved to Yorkshire when his father's work relocated to Leeds. He lived near Selby when he and Wendy were married, and then his own work brought him back home to Clarborough and then Retford. I do contrast this journey, the flip side of my own, from Yorkshire to Nottinghamshire, and wonder what that has to do with how well we get along together, not least a slightly dry sense of humour shaped, I think, by two counties. Mike's professional life was with several manufacturing companies, and he also ran his own consultancy for a number of years, working across both public and private sectors. He's always been an active member of the community, including over 40 years as school governor and significant work with local charities. He was involved in the fundraising and building of Clarborough Village Hall during his service as chairman of the parish council, and most notably, he was instrumental in raising funds to build the Bassetlaw Hospice of the Good Shepherd in Retford. It was for this that he was awarded his MBE in the New Year's Honours List 2004. Mike is currently chairman of trustees of the hospice, alongside other chairmanships for the Retford Educational Foundation, King Edward VI Trust and the Diverse Academies Trust. Thinking about the year ahead, this conversation must also include Wendy. They are a formidable couple. Mike and Wendy were foster carers for many years and still have contact with some of their foster children. Mike describes this as both a challenging and rewarding experience. And I personally am grateful for a colleague who so deeply understands his responsibilities as a corporate parent for Notts County Council from his own lived experience. No one who knows Mike and Wendy well could miss seeing the strength of their joint commitment and mutual support in public service. They will be exceptional ambassadors for Nottinghamshire and our residents. We're fortunate in Nottinghamshire to have had so many individual chairmen representing the best interests of this county. Mike's story is unconditionally one of service, one of helping to improve lives, and I'm incredibly proud to be nominating him as chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council for the forthcoming year. I believe this will be an exceptional year for the council as we emerge from the shadow of the pandemic, and I have every confidence in commending Councillor Mike Quigley as a chairman who will represent this council proudly and keep our business in the chamber focused on building the county's economy and bettering the lives of our residents. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Mike Quigley then has been proposed to be the chairman of the authority. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ogle.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. It comes to me to second Mike Quigley, MBE, for the role of our council chairman. Is there anything else I can tell you about Mike after what Trace has said? I tried to think of something funny, but there's nothing funny about him. He's a serious contender. Mike Quigley was seasoned, forged and tempered and obtained his resilience in the harsh North political environment in Bassetlaw. Both Mike and myself are survivors of the various culls, political battles, and our communities have supported us as we supported them. Albeit Mike is a generation above me. Mike was the council leader of Bassetlaw District Council for 6 years. Our Conservative administration modernised Bassetlaw District Council. It rapidly became more efficient and was run for the benefit of everyone and all communities. Enforcement of fly tipping was introduced. The rural communities were embraced. Bassetlaw District Council did a lot more with a lot less. The complaints system was resuscitated and the service satisfaction went up. Mike and his wife Wendy made a formidable political force as community representatives and as a councillor team, a double act. Since that time, Mike has served as chairman of Bassetlaw Conservative Association. Mike has always respected his community and understood that he was their representative. He does not and has not taken his continued election as granted and has met his community's expectations. So a quick resume of his other achievements and responsibilities. Mike has been involved in local government since the 70s when he served as the parish council chairman. Mike did spend time as a member of Lions and Rotary. He relinquished them due to his other commitments. Mike Quigley was an accredited peer for IDEA, LGA, worked for the Audit Commission and the Planning and Advisory Service. He delivered training and mentoring to local government over the UK, including leaders and cabinet members, undertook corporate peer review. He is an accredited equalities and diversity assessor. Mike is interested in motorsport, rugby union and cricket, now as a spectator only. I can say that Mike Quigley is astute, confident, and most importantly for this position, he's very fair. I have confidence that his skills will enable him to be an effective and respected chairman of the council. It will be a thriller, it will be a treat for you. I am delighted to second Mike Quigley, member of the British Empire, as and for our chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council in this efficient new administration for the next year. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. So Councillor Quigley is both advanced and seconded. Can I ask, are there any alternatives nominations? Okay, thank you very much. Based on that, I declare that Councillor Mike Quigley, MBE, has been elected. Sorry? Oh, right. Yes. That's silly of me. Right. All those in favour of the election of Councillor Quigley to chairmanship? Okay, that's unanimous. That's unanimous. Thank you. And so I declare that Councillor Mike Quigley, MBE, as elected chairman of the County Council until the annual meeting of 2022.
Put your glasses on again.
So good morning, colleagues, and welcome to the County Council, particularly for new members. I shall invite the new chairman to read the declaration of office.
I, Michael William Quigley, MBE, having been appointed to the office of chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Standing or sitting? Sitting. Thank you. Well, how do I follow that? I'd like to thank Tracy and John for their very kind words, and obviously they've done a lot of research to find out all those dark details about my past. But those of you that know me well know that I'm a man of few words. I never write speeches down on loads of paper and take up loads of time. The reason for that is, of course, that those of you that know Wendy will know I have a great job trying to get my word in edgeways. So I've learnt to be brief and to the point. Seriously, Wendy couldn't be here today because of the restriction of numbers, but she's already started costing me money, because when she found out that I was going to be asked to be chairman of the council, the first thing she said is, "Oh my God, I've sold all my hats," and immediately went out and bought 4 new ones, and then followed that up with 4 new dresses. So I thought I'd better try my morning suit on and see how it fits. Well, having been the last time it was worn was 2005, and I think there must be some gremlins in my wardrobe, because I couldn't even get it within 3 inches of fastening the buttons. So I had to go out and buy a new one. But I'd just like to say it's a great honour for me to be elected as chairman of the county. I've always, as my 2 nominees have said, been a servant of the community, and I've always liked to help others. I'm particularly helping younger people to advance and learn and take over from us oldies, because our time will come when we'll be sat in a nursing home gurgling away and drinking out of a straw. But yeah, it's closer for some of us than it is others, I think. But it is a great honour to be chairman of the county and to serve the county. And throughout my year, I'm going to be hopefully going to be able to do things with young people in terms of advancing their lives and learning. And also, as you have heard, my involvement in the hospice movement over, well, more years than I care to remember, brought about by family issues and close friends suffering from cancer and dying in not very good circumstances. So I was determined to address the issue in Bassetlaw and make sure that we had a worthwhile and good building to provide palliative care for people. So I'm hoping to go around the county visiting hospices and helping raise their profile. I'm hoping to meet as many young people as I can during my year, and also, obviously, as we come out of the pandemic, I want to make sure that we publicise the excellent businesses that we've got in the county and improve our recovery as we recover from the pandemic. That is all I want to say at this stage, and thank you all for your confidence in me, and hopefully I will serve you well as your chair for the next year. Can I ask Councillor Roger Jackson to move that Stuart Wallace be thanked for his work as Chairman of the Council during the last year and present him with his Chairman's badge of office?
Thank you, Chairman. And may I be the first to congratulate you on your office of becoming Chairman of the Council. Members, it gives me great pleasure to propose this motion to move a vote of thanks for Stuart for his year of office as our Chairman. A year which has been vastly different to what was normal procedure while being Chairman of our Council. And you and Linda, unfortunately, missed out on many of the civic and social functions that normally go along with being the Chairman of this Council. Even the Council meetings had to change, and you had to become the master of chairing Teams meetings. Teaching us all how to mute and unmute, including yourself on occasions. Not an easy task, but you managed it extremely well, trying to keep us all in order, but at very arm's length. But I do hope you and Linda have enjoyed the events that you were able to go to and the few places you managed to visit, although a lot fewer than normal. But I must congratulate you on what you did manage to do, on all the money that you raised for your charities over the year. I do look forward to seeing you around in the future, now that you're retired from being a councillor and trying to get your handicap down to single figures. I actually believe you've given up and seen this competition here today, but hopefully if you're very quick, you might just make the back nine. And hopefully, Stuart, we can meet for a few beers later on in life as we go forward, especially to our favourite haunts. We eat at Royal Oak, Carcolston, where I know you like to, you used to like to prop the bar up, but you're not quite allowed to do that now, but hopefully in the future you will. But again, Stuart, it gives me great pleasure to move this vote of thanks. We really appreciate all that you've done over the years, not only as a member of this council, but also as your year as chairman. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder for the motion?
Yes, Chairman. It gives me great pleasure to second the vote of thanks for Stuart. I mean, Councillor Jackson said so much, really. And I think it's fair to say he went above and beyond what was expected of him as the chairman of this council. I would say at times I was surprised he was staying alive during some of the debates we were having, so well done for that. Now, it feels like it's been 2 years on since you actually had that last meeting because of the election and everything, but actually it's only a couple of months. I know that I'll be keeping in touch with you, Stuart. You're leaving this council, but you're not leaving Nottinghamshire. And I just want to know how we'll all mend our broken heart. Thank you for all you've done, Stuart.
Do we have any other speakers who wish to speak on the motion? Councillor Josny.
Thank you, Chairman. May I congratulate you on your office of chairmanship. I'm sure we'll be delighted to welcome you and back to visit Ashfield, and certainly Wendy is an Ashfield lass. I'm very pleased to see her again. She was, we had a lot of fun times when she was at County Council, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing her again as you come on your civic year. Chairman, on behalf of the Independent Group, I'd like to offer our thanks to Stuart for his year as chairman. As members have said already, a difficult year because of many reasons, but I think mostly it was a very difficult year because it was an election year, and that always proves chairing this chamber very difficult. And on behalf of a group that are in opposition, I think Stuart did that in a fair and open way, and that's all we as members can ever ask. So I think from our group, Stuart, thank you very much for how you chaired those meetings, and we wish you all the best in the future.
Councillor Fowle.
Thank you. Yeah, just to say congratulations on your new role, Chairman. We look forward to wonderful, orderly meetings. Thank you very much. And also thanks to Stuart, who we know did a brilliant job. It must have been really tough, actually trying to get the hang of the technology and keep us all on board and keep the meetings kind of running. So thank you. Thank you both. Cheers, thank you.
Are there any other speakers? In that case, can we put the motion to the vote? All those in favour? That's clearly carried. Can I invite can I invite Stuart Wallace to come forward to receive his past chairman's badge? We now move on to the appointment of Vice Chairman. Could I ask Councillor Bruce Lawton to move the appointment of Roger Jackson as Vice Chairman?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Can I congratulate you on your elevation to Chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council, and I look forward to meeting Wendy and yourself in the ensuing year. I've already had a chat with Wendy actually, and she's very excited at the prospect of supporting you through your year. So I look forward to that. Can I also take this opportunity of thanking Stuart and Andy, both of which I count as friends, and thank them for their service over the last year, and really to say that you will be missed, and I will miss you, and I'm sure many of the members will miss you on this council, and to thank you really for all the help that you've given me, particularly Andy. Andy was my Vice Chair on Governance Ethics and did an exceptionally good job, and covered my back whenever that was necessary, and so for that I am eternally grateful. So I wish you both health, good health, and a prosperous future. Right, to the business at hand. I'm got the job to move Roger Jackson for the appointment of Vice Chairman of the County Council. Roger, for those people that don't know, lives in Godalston. He farms in Godalston. He's a beef and arable farmer, and his family have been there for generations. So you can say Roger is, for want of better terminology, born of the soil. He has the grounding necessary to be able to do an excellent job for us in the county council. Here's a plug: if you want a Christmas turkey, Roger's your man. Okay, they're excellent. He's ordered them already. Okay, so anybody who fancies a good farm-bred Christmas turkey, Roger's your man. Roger ran for many years wholesale meat business, so he knows all the markets in the area. He was a regular attendee at Newark Market, and so anybody who wants any horse trading doing, he's also your man to be able to, because he knows his way around an auction. But what you get with Roger is what you see, and I think that's always a good measure of an individual, and therefore it really gives me great pleasure to do what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I've known Roger for quite a number of years. We played rugby together over 40 years ago. And I've been on one or two nights out with Roger, so I can tell a few stories which are unrepeatable for this location. But he's a fun-loving guy and knows how to enjoy himself. So, but what I can tell you is you know, Roger's like a stick of rock. If you cut him open, you will read community and service to his community written large through everything that he does. And because he's been around so long, inverted commas, he knows everybody in the community. He took over from me. He took Southwell over when there was boundary changes last time, and he was a natural shoe-in in Southwell, and so as a result, he actually increased my majority, which I find rather galling, really. But there we go, he did, and so as a result, I take my hat off to him, and I for those people who don't know, I live in Southwell, and he makes me deliver leaflets for him as well. So how bad's that? His background is farming, really, and he's one of the organisers of the Newark and Knott show. He's a major player in the Southwell ploughing match, and he's also involved as well with Young Farmers as well, which is always a good organisation to get involved in. They support rural communities and dealing with young people. Above all, Roger is friendly and he's also hard-working as well. And if you ever want to get hold of him on the phone, the likelihood is you'll hear the background noise of the drone of the tractor while he's speaking to you, because he'll be out working on the farm. I think to a certain extent it is a comment, really. I became a county councillor 25 years ago, and I've watched the demise, really, of the agricultural industry being involved in parish councils, and it saddens me, really. You know, the villages like Laxton and many of these rural communities, and the farming industry has gradually been denuded as far as the political and getting involved in local communities, and I think that is a retrograde step. So I think this is redressing the balance a little bit. You know, we've got Roger, and we've also got Mark Spencer, who's a farmer, and it's good to see the agricultural industry getting involved at a high level within the county council. But you've yet to meet Jilly. Okay, you've got a real pleasure. Jilly, his wife, is an absolute star. She's constantly texting me, unbeknown to Roger, about what's going off. Jilly is a real asset, and she's a real pleasure, and you will enjoy meeting her and getting to know her over the next couple of years. So it's a team, really. You're voting for today, a team that will do us proud, a team that we can be proud of as far as Nottinghamshire is concerned. So it gives me great pleasure, really good pleasure, it's a real pleasure to nominate Roger, and I was really pleased when he rang me up and asked me to do the job. Normally you sort of go, oh no, not another one, but on this particular occasion, it gives me great pleasure to nominate Roger as Vice Chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Lawton. Can I call upon Councillor Sue Saddington to second the motion?
Thank you, Chairman. May I firstly offer you my congratulations, and I hope that you and Wendy will have a fantastic year. My year as Chairman was truly wonderful and allowed me to meet residents in Nottinghamshire, learn of their experiences and visit places which I had never previously visited. But I have pleasure today in seconding the nomination of Roger Jackson.
as Vice Chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council for the ensuing year. I have known Roger for quite some time, and before that, his father, Frank, who I first met at Sherwood District Council in 1999. I know Roger, Chairman, will offer you support throughout the year, and I look forward to following you both represent this council and the residents of Nottinghamshire, and wish you both the happiest of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Seddington. Are there any other nominations? No. In that case, can I put the motion to the vote? All in favour? That's carried. I declare that Councillor Roger Jackson has been duly appointed as Vice Chairman of the County Council. Please come forward to the dais, Roger, and make your declaration of acceptance of office.
I, Roger James Jackson, having been appointed to the office of Vice Chairman of Nottinghamshire County Council, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and abilities.
Yes, do you want to say a few words?
Oh, I've got to put the chain on first. Sorry. Oh, sorry. That better. Yeah, I need Jilly here to dress me. That's the problem. Thank you, members, for the honour you bestow on me today. I look forward to being the Vice Chairman and working alongside Mike and Wendy and supporting them in every way I can, and hopefully be able to visit many of you in your constituents and meet lots and lots of people in Nottinghamshire during my year of office. I must say, waiting for Bruce to give my proposals, it was like being a best man at waiting for the groom, waiting for the best man's speech to see what he comes out with. So I don't know what they're asking, but if I'm proposed for chairman next year, but still we'll see how we go. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, members. As I say, I feel very honoured for this. I do actually feel very young for this. I always think this is a bit of a swan song for to be chairman of the council, but thank you very much indeed.
Can we then move on to agenda item 3? And can I call upon Councillor Ben Bradley to introduce and move the recommendation?
Thank you, Chairman. Welcome and congratulations on your appointment, which is richly deserved. I know you'll be firm but fair in the chair this year, and your considerable experience will help us to be in the right place, shall we say, which we haven't always been, maybe in the past. I'm looking forward to seeing Mrs. Squigley's new hat collection and for all the future shopping that I have no doubt is forthcoming as well. I hope you have more chance to get out and about across the county in your year as things open up. Can I also say a huge thank you to Stuart Wallace for his year. It was the right time for him to come forward because we needed his technological expertise for all of our remote working. And I know he's had a slightly different and often difficult year, but has made the most of it and been a fantastic representative for our council and for the community. So thank you, Stuart, and I wish you all the best as well. And to Andy, who unfortunately will not get to take up his year as chairman that would normally follow, but has been a great contributor to the council, a great representative, and worked hard for people of Mansfield as well. So we wish you the best for the future as well, Andy. Pleased to be able to speak for the first time, I suppose, as leader-elect at this stage of the council, and to thank residents across Nottinghamshire for their support for candidates across the county, for Conservative candidates, and for electing a majority administration here at County Hall. But more importantly, perhaps for showing up to vote for any party, for using their democratic voice, for having their say, which is so important, an important right, important to preserve our democratic system and our way of life. So a big thank you to the residents of Nottinghamshire who showed up in these elections, who engaged with the discussion and who cast their vote. Important to begin as well by mentioning and thanking those people who've made this meeting possible today. You can see just by the many metres of black tape and wire that are in this room that it's been a task to pull it all together. So a huge thank you to those who have made that happen. Regardless of our party political allegiances, we all stand here on the shoulders of those who came before. So I want to thank the former leader of this council, Councillor Kay Cutts, for everything that she did for this authority and for the people of Nottinghamshire. Over many years, Kay was first elected to Nottinghamshire County Council in May 1989, a full 6 months before I was born, if you can believe that. Such was her commitment and longevity that she's still here as leader of the council when I was first elected in 2017. She had a huge influence on me personally as well as professionally. I actually undertook work experience with Councillor Cutts back in about 2008-9 and sat above the chamber at County Hall observing. She showed me the delights of Gamston Parish Council and we had a wonderful time. It's so exciting that I ended up seeking election myself. So I really do have to thank her for the huge influence that she's had, and I wish her very well in what she chooses to do next. Equally, we find ourselves with new leadership on the opposition benches too, so a warm welcome to Councillor Fold to her position. And I'd also like to pay tribute to the work of Alan Rhodes, who obviously was formerly the leader of the council as well as of the Conservative group, played a huge role in shaping, or even, yes, the Labour group. We would have had him in the Conservative group, but he'd been very welcome. As are you all, but we will get there. With it 16 years here at the council, including 4 obviously as leader of the council, and though we often had to dig at each other on Twitter, as such is life in the 21st century, my personal engagement with him has always been open and cordial when we met in person. And again, he's helped to shape this council and lead us to where we are now. I know he continues in his role at Bassetlaw District Council and that he'll continue to support his community through that role, so I wish him the best going forward as well. We've already had tributes at the council in our last meeting prior to the election for retiring councillors, but I just want to add very briefly my thanks and commiserations to those colleagues who stood but were not returned in the elections, including some excellent and hard-working councillors who will be missed here and who I have no doubt will continue to work for and support their communities in other roles. I hope to see some of them back here next time, particularly those with blue rosettes on. Of course, but I know that many of them will continue to work hard for the communities that they have represented. Elections are a line in the sand, Mr. Chairman, where voters make a judgment on the past, where they set a course for the future. It's up to us now to deliver on all the things that we have promised, and I'm rising today to present the report detailing the results of these elections, which shows 37 Conservative councillors returned, 15 Labour, 10 Ashfield Independents, 3 further independent councillors and 1 Liberal Democrat. Can I congratulate all members, both returners and those elected for the first time. I hope and trust that we will make a positive contribution on behalf of the communities that chose us, and I hope that we can all work together in that regard to achieve those positive outcomes. We haven't arrived here at a time that is easy or straightforward, and we have a number of key priorities we must deliver on, not least leading our county out of the pandemic, supporting residents and rebuilding our economy. It's been incredibly challenging over the last 18 months for all of us and for all of the staff and officers here at Nottinghamshire County Council who have shown over that time their dedication and commitment to our residents. They've gone above and beyond the call of duty in many cases. They've adapted to hugely challenging circumstances and different ways of working. Many have continued their work on the front lines throughout all of this and faced that risk whilst balancing it with the personal challenges that we've all been confronted with. So on behalf of the council, I'd like to say a huge thank you this first opportunity to absolutely everybody who has worked or volunteered with this authority and played their part in tackling the crisis. We are coming out the other side thanks to that work and thanks to their dedication. Not only that, but we're coming out the other side in a position reputationally, financially, in terms of our preparedness for the future, that is really solid foundation, particularly when you compare with many around us, and one that we can now build on for the future. So our excellent Chief Executive, Anthony May, and the leadership team deserve great praise also for their management in these incredibly difficult times. Of course, it's not over yet, but I, for one, am very grateful for the firm grip over the situation that's been shown over the course of this last year. The people of Nottinghamshire have spoken, and it's a pleasure to present the council with this set of results that show 11 Conservative seats gained in what was a very successful election for us as a party. I'm particularly proud to be able to stand here and raise the example of Mansfield, of course, where we had a net gain of 6 seats, now 6 out of 9 councillors. I'm pleased to be joined by a whole host of new colleagues across the county on this side of the chamber and around the room, where there are lots of new faces who I know will be keen to make a contribution. It's a long-term trend across some of our communities, particularly across the north of the county, to see that shift, perhaps from a history of voting Labour to electing Conservative representatives. And we now have a Conservative majority council, a full slate of Conservative MPs, a Conservative police commissioner in Nottinghamshire. It's perhaps our best chance to truly deliver something meaningful and positive for our residents as we work together. And I welcome that opportunity. I recognise too the pressure that comes with it. So it's a clean slate, Mr. Chairman, a new broom, perhaps a different approach. And so with great optimism and excitement about the opportunities that lie ahead for us as an authority, I present this report for your consideration today.
Thank you. Can I call upon Councillor Chris Barnfather to second the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and firstly, congratulations to yourself and to your Vice Chairman on your appointments today. Very well merited, and we look forward to the year that is ahead of us. I'm very happy to second the report, the motion that is before us, and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you, Councillor Barnfather. Do we have any speakers? Councillor Fowle.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations to both you and your new Vice Chair again, and we look forward to working with you. This was a tough election, so many congratulations to all successful candidates. Clearly, getting elected this time was much more of a challenge. It was quite different, wasn't it, from normal elections. And congratulations too to Councillor Ben Bradley and his new team. We look forward to working with you and everyone here today to represent our residents to the best of our ability. Clearly, it was a disappointing day for Labour, and I would like to thank our members who were not successful at this time and would be missed. Yvonne Woodhead, Andy Wetton, Nikki Brooks, our first-class business manager, Kevin Greaves, our highways guru, Diana Meal, who knows more about economic development than any member here, and last but absolutely not least, Alan Rhodes. And thank you for your words on that one, Ben. Alan was our strong and visionary leader. He undertook his role, both in and out of power, with integrity and decency. We all miss his vast knowledge and experience very much. I've certainly learned a great deal from him in the last 4 years as his deputy. I know he'll be looking at new ways, he's told me, to continue to serve the community that he's represented so well. And of course, he remains a Bassett Law District Councillor and has various other duties as well. And I'm sure we all wish him well. Having said that, it's not all bad news for Labour. We gained a seat in Broxtowe and our vote held up in large parts of the county. I'm proud of our new Labour group. Already they've come forward with ideas and enthusiasm, and you will hear from some of them later. We're a group full of energy and passion for our work in our communities, and we are more than ready to do our job of holding the new Conservative administration to account, especially if you reduce support and service to people who are disadvantaged. Now, on that note, a plea from me. At times, this was a nasty election. Not everywhere, it was fine in my division. Not all the time, but it was at times unpleasant and personal. Politics can be nasty, but my fear is it's getting nastier. It doesn't have to be. We stand for different principles and values and will disagree at times, but we're perfectly able to make our case through sound argument and well-evidenced reasoning. We don't have to sling insults at each other. I didn't take on my new role for my self-aggrandisement. I'm here to do my very best for all our residents, and so are all the Labour members here. We will always vote for policies and actions that benefit our electorate. We will not descend into insults and name-calling in these meetings, and I ask other parties to do the same. And not sheer residents deserve better than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fowle. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Zazoli.
Thank you, Chairman. I, as the only returning group leader, felt I ought to say a couple of words. Obviously, I welcome Ben and Kate to their new roles and look very much forward to working with them. I really do appreciate this opportunity to have a much more constructive, cordial and conversational style of politics in this chamber, where we don't expect to agree on anything, but we do it in a much more civil and measured approach, and I look forward to that. I look forward to that with my newly doubled group here, the independent group, who were the only party in all of Nottinghamshire to clean sweep any district and gain a seat in Broxtowe as well. And I'm very proud that our group is 30%, a third of our group are women, which I think is a little of a disappointment across the chamber, but I think we ought to recognise the diversity of the group as the council as a whole, and look forward to remedying that as we can. And for me, Chair, that's an important point, because we as our group were very disappointed when our colleague at the 11th hour, Councillor Rachel Madden, chose not to stand again, and she'll be very sorely missed by this group. She was a wise and sage member with a wry sense of humour, and although we work very closely still at Ashfield District Councillor, we will miss her in this chamber. Mr. Chairman, I'm very pleased to look across the chamber and particularly welcome Ben's address that there's a new style of politics. There's lots of new members in every group, and I think that's a welcome opportunity for us to do something different. I've made very good new friends with Tom Smith over in Blidworth, over what was a tense election count, but we got on well. Of course, I know Jono and many other people, and I think this is an opportunity for us to reach out across the aisle. And as I said at the beginning, not to agree on everything. That's never going to happen. But we can talk about stuff and try in what is going to be incredibly challenging as we come out of the pandemic to rebuild Nottinghamshire a better way by working in a manner that much more befits modern politics. So, Mr. Chairman, obviously I'm delighted with the report. I'm particularly delighted to see my friends Maureen and Steve back in the chamber, even though it's at a distance over there in the background. But I think this 66 members here obviously have a huge burden on our shoulders to change Nottinghamshire over the next 4 years. But at this stage, Mr. Chairman, I'm very much looking forward to that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zodley. Councillor Dobson.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, can I congratulate you and Wendy, really. I've known you both for a long, long time. We go back way, way in Richard Alexander's day, and we worked well when I was a member of your party. Can I also congratulate your Vice Chairman, Roger Jackson, who I've known for a long time too. I've worked well with Roger over many years, and I continue to support him in his hour of need, when he's always talking really strongly about Nottinghamshire Show. Nottinghamshire Show is part of Roger's life, and as it's in my division, it's also part of my life. So I do expect this authority to support Roger and I when we're asking for some funding, from some assistance, from roads and all sorts of things, don't we, Mr. Vice Chairman? Can I just say to you, Chairman, I am a true independent, and for those of you who are new and don't know me on any political party, one day I will vote with you, the ruling group, if I think that is right for the people I represent. I will also vote with the Labour group if I think that's right for my constituents. And I shall also support Jason. I didn't know I was a good friend of his, but thank you, Jason, for that. I will remember that. It's gone down in my book. I will vote with the Ashfield independents, because how you can have an independent group is beyond me. You're either independent or you're a group of whatever. But as he's chosen to call himself, the independent group, because some of your members do not represent Ashfield, I do understand you had a difficulty, but you could have thought of another name. I'm the independent. Steve Garner's the independent. Nobody else is independent. Steve Carr is Liberal Democrat. So I just want you new members to remember that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Dobson. Councillor Wilmot.
Thank you, Chairman, for allowing me to speak on this issue. First of all, I'd like to congratulate everybody that hasn't been elected to this authority, and I hope we can all work together for the people of who we represent. Can I say, when I first came in over a week ago, I was told I was representing Notts County Council. I had to put the officer right on that issue. I am not representing Nottinghamshire County Council. I am a member of Nottinghamshire County Council representing the people of Hucknall and Nottinghamshire. So I just wanted to make that abundantly clear, and I hope all of you will agree with what I've said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilmot. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations to yourself and Councillor Jackson, on being appointed as Vice Chairman. I stand again as the sole Liberal Democrat on this authority, which I'm very proud of. Not proud of the fact that there's only one of me, but proud of the fact that we're still here and fighting. And like Jason, I have a sense that there's a new broom been swept across this authority, and it's already beginning to resonate in some of the conversations I've had with the new leader, probably in a minute if you get voted in, and several of the new chairs. And I think that is an excellent thing, because we all have a responsibility now to actually try and build back better, and I'll use a Lib Dem term there, build back better, because we owe it to the people that we represent. And I will be looking forward to a more congenial atmosphere in this council chamber over the next 4 years, one where we can disagree with respect, and one where, if we can, we will vote with you. Well, I will vote with the ruling group if I can. Yes, I'm afraid I can't claim that I've got a good a spread of between the two sexes in my group. We're 100% male. But I do come from a party that is very diverse, and I did learn during the election that I've been doing it wrong for 25 years. Some of you will know that 4 weeks before the election I ripped my calf muscle in two, and so spent 4 weeks with my leg in the air at home. So I didn't knock on the door. Luckily, the party had enough money to pay for somebody to deliver my leaflets for me, but that's all I did this year, and my majority went up and the turnout was 50.4%. So yes, I've been doing it wrong for the last 25 years, but I really do look forward to the next 4 years and it being a happier place to come to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Lawton.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. A few things, really. One is I'd like to welcome Terry Butler and John Carter sat at the back there, our honorary aldermen, to the meeting. It's really good to see you guys. And I'm actually, that leads me into, I was speaking to the Labour deputy leader, who is the member for Alderson, and we were talking about Stella Smedley, and Stella used to turn around to me and say, you get 1 in 5, Bruce. You get 1 in 5. 5 Labour to 1 Conservative. I think we've sort of like bucked to that trend, Mike. But she was mentioning she was very ill, and so the Labour Party decided that that they were going to do a presentation, and myself and Mike were having a cup of coffee and we were talking about it. So they invited Ed Balls up to give her a presentation. And Ed Balls duly tipped up, but the Labour branch bought her a plastic clock. And she was absolutely furious at this plastic clock. So I went to see her just about a month before she died. And she said, go and look in the corner of that room. And I said, bring it over here. And she swung it across the lounge and it smashed on the wall at the far end. But Stella always used to say, 1 in 5. Well, I think we've completely bucked that trend. But the reason for me standing is to welcome, really, all the new councillors into the chamber. You know, there's some new, fresh faces, and I look forward to, as deputy leader of the council, working with you over the oncoming years. Myself, John Cotty and Richard Butler are the longest standing Conservative members, so do not call me the father of the house. I will not have that. We're trying to work out who came through the door first. And so we will not accept that anyway. But I think it was John who actually came through the door first. So he's the one that it was a bit like Ken Clarke. He had the same issue. He was late. He was a day late turning up to Parliament, so he lost the title of Father of the House. So so welcome to you all. Look forward to working with you, and we'll see what the next 4 year brings. We're new administration. You're absolutely right, Steve. You've picked up on what our game. We intend to deliver services for the people of Nottinghamshire first and foremost, and it is a new brew. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawton. Councillor Barnfather.
Thank you, Chairman. And may I just echo Councillor Lawton's welcome to all members of all persuasions, of all parties, of all groups or none. It's good to see the chamber full today. Politics is a brutal game, and every election or the end of every term of an administration leading to that election means that we say goodbye to some very good people. We say goodbye because they choose to retire or because the election is unkind, shall I say, to them, and they're not in a position to return to this chamber or the chamber that we're more accustomed to at County Hall. There were a lot of people that we said goodbye to at the end of the last administration, far too many to name all of them individually, but it would be remiss of me not to mention one or two. And the leader has already referred to Councillor Cutts. Councillor Cutts, there's not much I can say about Councillor Cutts that I'm sure everybody doesn't know. She was an institution on this authority for many, many years. She was the leader of this authority on 2 separate occasions after many, many years of the Conservative group not having power on this authority. I believe that she was personally responsible for driving this authority forward and modernising many of the ways in which we deliver our services. Her contribution to public life in Nottinghamshire, I do believe, over the last 30 years is unparalleled. We lost Councillor Cutts because she made a decision to retire while still at the peak of her powers. It would be wrong of me not to mention Councillor Rhodes. I have the utmost respect for Councillor Rhodes as an individual. We may disagree on occasion on our politics, but I think Councillor Fole used the term integrity and decency. And I think they are 2 words which totally and utterly describe Councillor Rhodes in the way in which he conducted himself in the chamber and the way he conducted himself with all members. Whenever I met Alan at a function, at an event, that was exactly how he produced himself. He treated all of us as equals. He was always extremely friendly. When I was a new member to this authority, he metaphorically put an arm around me, and I like to think that there was a degree of friendship between us across the divide of the 2 parties. Councillor Rhodes will be missed, without a doubt, in the chamber as we move forward. As I say, politics is brutal. Not just Councillor Rhodes, there were other good councillors who have not returned to this chamber through no fault of their own, but because the electorate, in their wisdom, have decided to have a change of allegiance to a political party or none. That is exactly their right. That is the democracy. And when we all come to this chamber, normally there is very little between us because we all come here to do the best for our communities. We all come here because we believe that we can contribute to improve the quality of life for the residents within our individual divisions and across this county as a whole. And we may have some ideological differences between Conservative and Labour, or Conservative and the Independent group, or the Liberal Democrats, or the pure Independents. But the reality of it is we are all here for the same reason. And politics should never be personal. We should never stoop to name-calling. We should never stoop to confrontational, aggressive politics in the chamber or outside of it, because we are all here for the same purpose. And that is my plea as we move forward. Councillor Zadrozny, when he spoke, talked about us not agreeing on anything. And I'm taking it that was a slip of the tongue, Jason, that you meant to say not agreeing on everything. I hope I didn't mishear you, but you definitely said, I think, not agree on anything. And I know that will not be the case, because I am sure that 90% of the time we are all in agreement in this chamber of what is right for the people of Nottinghamshire. And I welcome Councillor Dobson's comments that if what the majority group are doing is right for the people of Collingham, right for the people of her division, that she will be voting with the administration, because I look forward to Councillor Dobson voting with the administration permanently over the next 4 years, because they will be our policies, Councillor Dobson. I welcome the comments from Councillor Carr, and picking up, I think, on the gist of what he was saying is, this is an administration that wants to recognise all the talents within this chamber, irrespective of party allegiance. We are a council of many talents across this floor, and it's incumbent upon the administration to make sure that those talents and skills, those contributions, are not ignored or wasted simply because you don't wear blue. We want to use everybody within this chamber to improve what we do for the people of Nottinghamshire. So I wholeheartedly support the motion. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Barnfather. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Errol?
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to congratulate you and your Vice Chair on your appointments, and we wish you all the very best going forward. I want to welcome everyone in the chamber today, and I must say, it is very disappointing to see that I am again the only BME member of this chamber, which shows that there is still some work to be done to try to raise a representation of for this issue within this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Errol. Councillor Hollis?
Thank you, Chairman, and firstly, welcome to your new role, and certainly I look forward to welcoming you not only to Ashfield, but into my own division, where there's a number of great county council and district council projects, which I'm sure we can champion together. And Councillor Jackson as well, congratulations on your appointment as the Vice Chairman. I'd offer you the same welcome. The election was certainly tough, and I think, as Councillor Foles said, in certainly many areas there was quite a bitter campaign and personal at times and tough, but that is the nature of politics. You know, with members who've been on this council for a long time, seemingly I'm one of the more long-standing ones now. It has been tough, and we've had different dynamics. And I've sat under a Labour leadership, a Conservative leadership, a Mansfield Independent, and now to be a majority Conservative administration. But clearly, members know that we come to this council with a very parochial interest. You know, we are the Ashfield Independents. I am an Ashfield Independent, and unashamedly, I will be speaking to what benefits the county more broadly, but particularly the residents we represent. But that's not necessarily a line in the sand we want to die hard over. And frankly, like every new relationship, of which we all now are part of, we come with a genuine open door and an open arms to welcome some of the gestures you've made clear, and Councillor Bradley and Councillor Barnfather particularly, with what they said. You can count on the same optimism and outlook from our group with a constructive opposition, and I think we'll all be aware that we'll certainly not agree on everything, but hopefully some things, because frankly we're all here to achieve the same thing. We all come from different parts of the county. Many of it doesn't overlap anyway with interests, so there's plenty of things we can agree on. But one thing I'm most proud of, looking at this list, and it's certainly a mantle I'm quite pleased to hand over. I've been the youngest member of this chamber for the last 8 years. I don't even think I'm in the bottom 20% of age anymore. So I think one thing that is great, from not only a gender, ethnicity, age, this council's and political makeup has had a real big shake-up, and I think it's a real opportunity for us to look at things in a very different way, I notice later on in the agenda we're going to be talking about highways and environmental change, which this council seemingly has taken a big U-turn on from the last Conservative-led organisation. But I really welcome that, and it isn't the time to talk about that now, but we welcome the gesture you've made to the opposition groups. You can count on that constructive thing, and even little things which new members may not realise. But I always have to smile when you get the first agenda through the post. The first one I ever had was red. The second one was blue, and it's actually really great to see a little thing that we've taken some of the politics out of the colour scheme of the meetings, and we can have a constructive talk as equal members in these meetings, despite the fact that obviously the Conservatives will be making the final choice. But thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I wish all new members welcome and good luck for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollis. Are there any other speakers who have indicated? No. Councillor Bradley, do you want your right to reply?
Thank you, Chair. Very briefly, just to welcome the comments that have been made across the Chamber today. Slightly odd dynamic as a Chamber that it is, and I hope we can get back to our rightful place at County Hall for the next one. But as Councillor Barnfather has said, and I won't repeat at length, welcome everybody, new members and old alike. I look forward to working with everybody, to welcoming all of your ideas regardless of party allegiance over the coming years. 60, however many we are, 6 brains are better than one or even just the 3 of us in the leader's office. So do bring forward your innovation, do bring forward your ideas, work with officers who I know will work with you constructively, and let's do our very best for the people of Nottinghamshire in the years ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Do we have any amendments? Can we put it to the vote then? All in favour? Carried. We move on then to agenda item 4, which is recognition of members and officers of groups. Can I call upon Councillor Barnfather to introduce the report and move the recommendations?
Thank you, Chairman. The paper before you at agenda item 4 is self-explanatory. It simply identifies the different political groupings and those members who are non-aligned. And I hear Councillor Dobson's comments in relation to the use of the term the independent group. The reality of it is I have had those discussions, Councillor Dobson, with the monitoring officer, and the independent group can call themselves exactly what they wish to. That is their right, their inalienable right, as it is indeed for any political grouping. And perhaps the renaming of the Ashfield Independent Group to the Independent Group is somewhat indicative of future intentions. So watch out in 4 years' time, people. I'm very happy to move the paper before us, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barnfather. Can I call upon Bruce Lawton to second the motion?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I rise to second to the motion. Councillor Hollis is not a U-turn because it's the new administration. The previous administration had their view on climate change. This is a new administration, and therefore can't effectively be a U-turn. Not that I want you to take it back, I'm just making the point. It was incorrect. So I'm going to be seconding the motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Lawton. Do we have anybody who has indicated they wish to speak? No? No? Can we move to the vote then? Everyone in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Move on then to agenda item 5, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. Can we ask Council to approve the minutes of the last meeting? All those in favour?
Chairman.
Sorry.
Chairman, if I may, just before we approve the minutes of the last meeting, if I could just ask you to look at page 19 of those minutes. Councillor Fielding, I don't recall her being in tears. I think she was, in fact, referring to early years provision in Shire Oaks, although it may, of course, have driven her to tears, the issue at hand. And one other item on page 22 of the minutes, Chairman, which I think we have Councillor Dr. John Doddy as moving a motion 1, and I understand that it was Councillor Harper that moved that motion rather than Councillor Doddy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Doddy. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Can we make those amendments to the minutes? With those amendments, are members satisfied that they are a true and accurate record of the meeting? All in favour? That's clearly carried. Thank you. Agenda item 6 then is apologies for absence. Could I ask Councillor Barnfather if there are any apologies?
I believe that all the Conservative group are here, Chairman, but with such a large group, it's quite difficult to actually count. But I believe no apologies. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Errol Henry.
Thank you, Chair. We have one apology, Chair, Councillor McGrath, for personal reasons. Thank you.
And Councillor Samantha Deakin.
Thank you, Chair, and can I just take this opportunity to welcome you into your new role. We have apologies from Councillor Elizabeth Williamson, who had to go into hospital for emergency surgery yesterday. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say that we all would like to send her our well wishes, and that she's really sad she can't be with us. Thank you.
I'm sure that goes for us all. And I have an apology from an unaligned member, Councillor Steve Garner, who also has health issues, and I'm sure we wish him well. We move on then to agenda item 7, declarations of interest. If any councillor or officer has either a disclosable pecuniary interest or a private interest in any matter on the agenda, you should declare it now. Please raise your hand now if you have an interest to declare. When called to speak, you should state whether it is a disclosable pecuniary interest or a private interest and give brief details. I see none. We move on then to agenda item 8. Presentation of awards. First, there are none today. Chairman's business. I think this is where I have to make a little statement about how I intend to manage the meetings for the year. Well, I think everybody has alluded to the new openness and so on that we hope is going to be evident in the chamber throughout the year. But I am noted for being a firm chairman, but fair in all the roles that I've undertaken, both in public life and in private life. So I will not tolerate bad language. I will not tolerate personal insults or attacks on persons. We are all here to work for the benefit of the people of Nottinghamshire. We're not here to throw insults and slag each other off. We're here to work together. And I hope that this year is the start of a new relationship in this council chamber. I'm also fairly strict on time. I like meetings to be succinct, to the point, and people jumping up and down and repeating ad nauseum the same issues is and I think Councillor Drosny will recognise this one because it's an old Sutton saying, and that is, don't boil your cabbages twice. But I think we're in for an interesting time, and I'm sure that with our new leader and our new team that we can work together for the benefit of the people of Nottinghamshire. And let's hope that we can work in that vein. In terms of my other issues, the civic service is likely to go ahead this year, but in a very much convoluted way and in a very small way. So I'm not yet aware of how it's going to work, but it is going to be on the 11th of July. And I've made it clear sort of earlier on that my theme is going to be young people and the hospice movement, and also promoting business within the county. So hopefully it goes ahead. in a better form than we think it will, but that remains to be seen after the 21st of June. So it may be restricted to about 50 or 60 people, which will be lost in Southwell Minster, but that is the way it is. The theme of the service is one of hope and anticipation of the lifting of the restrictions on coronavirus. And my wife has had a hand in choosing the hymns, which I'm sure will be very uplifting to those of us that are able to attend. And I look forward to seeing those of you that can come at my service. I haven't yet chosen my charity for the year, because I'm keen that the charity that I choose spends its money and helps people within the county of Nottinghamshire, and not a national charity that dilutes the money and spreads it over the country. So I'm actually talking to a couple of charities at the moment who are going to come in and present a case to me as to why the chairman of the county council should support them throughout the coming year. And I will make an announcement in due course when I've resolved the matter of who will be my charity of the year. But rest assured, it'll have something to do with young people or health, and I can assure you of that. But at the end of the day, I want to ensure that whatever I choose is for the benefit of the residents of Nottinghamshire. Lunch will be at approximately 12:30, and members will be asked to pause when the meeting adjourns to allow any press and public to leave the room first, and then members will be directed to leave the chamber by row to manage the flow. Obviously, we've got to obey social distancing, and we need to be allowing the time for the staff to serve the food. Remember that you must wear your mask when moving about the building once you leave this chamber, and if we are in the middle of business at 12:30, that may be delayed slightly, and we are allowing an hour, which will be reviewed as we go through. If we're finding that people can't manage to get in and out within an hour, we may have to prolong that, but we will let everyone know. Right, can we move on then to agenda item 9, which is constituency issues. I have 5 speeches on my list. I don't think we've had any more since. So I call upon Councillor David Shaw, who is wanting to discuss highways funding in Hucknall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wish you well in your new role, and I'm sure you're going to be a brilliant ambassador for Nottinghamshire. Can I also thank the residents of Hucknall West for their support on the May the 6th, and thank them for their kind messages. It would be remiss of me not to mention my opponent, Councillor Philip Rostance, who has been a great champion for Hucknall, and I will be delighted to work with him on a district level. The biggest complaint I've had, I've received, is the state of our broken roads. The pavements in Hucknall. During the election, people have been reading our leaflets, been reading the Conservative leaflets, and talking about record investment in highways. The problem, Mr. Chairman, is that people just had to look through their windows. They had to look through their windows to understand that Hucknall did not get its fair share of funding. You just have to go for a walk around the streets of Hucknall, and you were being let down. You walk as many streets of Hucknall as I have, and you see as many potholes as I have. Some of them are as deep as dinghies. We report them using the MyNots app to get them fixed. But it's such a bad job, a real bad job, that it's not long before those roads need repairing again. Another big complaint is that we received the fury of the residents about the painting of Trent Bridge. That has had more money spent on it than the road repair in Hucknall. That is why I welcome the messages coming from the new leader for the proposal of the Highways Review Panel, who will examine the current methods and technologies to use to repair and maintain the roads across Nottinghamshire. Some of the worst roads in Hucknall are Keats Drive, Wordsworth Avenue, Shelley Close, named after poets. The irony is that Percy Shelley, one of the most famous poems, is To the Moon, and probably more craters in the roads of Hucknall than there are on the moon. A pensioner recently got in touch with me to complain about the footpath on Common Lane. Simply too dangerous to traverse, and people on mobility scooters, wheelchairs and trolleys cannot simply use it. I will try to be positive, Mr. Chairman, but I will welcome the fact that the processes will be improved. But the biggest problem I have at the moment is the new footway refuge on Watnell Road. It has been built at the side of somebody's drive who no longer can turn left.
Councillor, you have 10 seconds to wind up.
Who can no longer turn left into Hucknall. That is a travesty. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw. Can I call upon Councillor John Wilmot, who wants to talk about road safety and improvements to open spaces in Hucknall?
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, congratulations to the Chairman and the Vice Chairman on their appointments. And I'd also like to thank the residents of Hucknall for supporting my candidacy in the County Council elections. Now, these are some of the issues that need addressing in and around my ward in Hucknall. A piece of land on Titchfield Street was to be made a car park for the town. Seems to be being held up by the County Council. It is now an unacceptable eyesore for the town. When is it going to be developed? I have had numerous requests about the flooding on the pavement outside of the Sue Ryder shop in the town centre of Hucknall. It is caused through 2 block drains that have been in that condition for months. It has been reported on numerous occasions. It is a hazard for pensioners and the general public. Can we have the drains cleaned? And lo and behold, yesterday, the people who do the drains did come and actually clean it up. Now, there's 900 houses are to be built on the top Wiggy Farm in the future. Hucknall needs a new infrastructure to accommodate these people who will be using Hucknall resources. We need some of the many millions that the County Council is getting for the sale of the land. We need a new surgery, improvements to the comprehensive schools, better transport services, town centre regeneration, and a public toilet in the library.
Councillor Wilmot, I think you're straying from the point. You were talking about improvements to open spaces and road safety. You're wandering off the point.
Well, I'm just saying, Chairman, that in Nottinghamshire, we have no facility for a toilet, and it's essential that we get one in the library. But finally, Ashfield District Council takes a pride in its parks, and we come to the Rangers and Dove Park, owned by the County Council. 2 filthy ponds, walkways covered in dog droppings, unrecognisable brooks, drug dens and antisocial behaviour havens. Not my words, the residents' views, who have to put up with the problem daily. And Dove Park, you can put your life at risk when crossing the A611. There needs to be a crossing point to reach the park. Not my words, the Ramblers Association and many of the people of Hucknall. Can I say, Chairman, I will be vigorously supporting the people of Hucknall during my term of office. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilmot. Councillor Hollis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not sure I can follow Councillor Wilmot's level of anger and passion with some of those things, but I just want to rise to speak about permitted development rights and the County Council's position on a number of those issues within my division. Members will be aware of the government's stance to roll out 5G mass and a number of infrastructure related to that rollout, which of course is largely welcome with regards to the technological improvements and driverless cars and all the stuff that we do with our mobile phones and communications. One of the big issues that I've got in my division, and no doubt other members do, and certainly something the County Council probably needs to start taking a position on, and bearing in mind now we have a council leader that can take this right back to the door of the government, which he's been quite proud of speaking about in his gambits on social media. There's now an issue in my division that, frankly, Councillor Bradley, is the ideal topic to do. So overnight, constituents of mine in Huthwaite Town Centre woke up to a 25-foot 5G mast right in the middle, that received no planning permission was able to be put up with no consultation of residents, was placed on private land which was in the public domain, right next to a park that Ashfield District Council and me as Deputy Leader has proudly invested hundreds of thousands of pounds in. We are taking great lengths to constructively develop new building plots. An old factory's been knocked down. We're fighting against a greenbelt development just nearby. Yet this mast went up overnight with no consultation and was done under permitted development rights. Members who are familiar with planning will know that permitted development rights is designed to encourage constructive building, people so they can extend their garages, put an extra story on their property. It is not for a 25-foot 5G mast, which, although would be welcome with the infrastructure, wasn't consulted and frankly goes against all of our ethos as local ambassadors so that residents can consult. So I would like to draw this council's attention to that. That is something that's happened in my division and no doubt will be coming imminently, if not already happened in other members. So I think urgently this council needs to look at what stance we take and the stance we will be lobbying the government on behalf of minor changes to permitted development rights, which I believe have been left in there by mistake. It's not designed for this kind of building. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Hollis. Councillor David Martin.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations on your new role, and you as well, Roger. I'm sure you'll do a very eloquent job. So, Mr. Chairman, this brings me to my constituency speech, and my constituency speech could happen anywhere across the county, and it did happen to me earlier this year, so I do want you to pay attention. I am an Ashfield Independent Councillor, but I'm not being parochial. This issue happens everywhere. So, one of the things I've been constantly talking about is the process for sorting roads in places like Selston Parish. It's well documented that I'm no fan of VFX. I don't think it's fit for purpose. I do welcome the splitting up of the communities in place and the addition of a cross-party highways review panel if it's passed later in this meeting. Earlier on in May this year, I was delighted to finally get the patching work agreed for a junction of Portland Road and Ansley Lane. I visited the residents who got in touch to tell them the time and date the junction was in an absolute terrible state. A traffic management system was put in place at the cost of around £800, and this was to protect the 6 workers who turned up to do the job. Imagine my surprise when they just chucked in 10 bags of VFX into a 3 metre by 6 metre lunar surface junction. Whacking it down and drove off. My phone went mad. Social media went crazy. The picture of the job was shared immediately. The junction looked worse than an unadopted recreation street directly adjacent to the repair. I'm pleased to report that the team came back on the 23rd of May and carried out a proper patch repair job, and I've got to say the end result is now excellent. I'm telling you the story to highlight the waste that goes on around £800 for a traffic management system for a botched job, on top of £600 for VFX and the labour who attended at considerable cost to this county council. Further to this, at a recent Communities in Place and Development Review Committee, VIA promised that they would not use costly traffic management systems when using VFX. That's the traffic light management they use when doing potholes on junctions. I asked VIA directly or previously not to use VFX as this doubled up an unnecessary job process. It must stop. We owe it to the hard-pressed council taxpayers to get the best value for money the first time round. It was clearly not appropriate to use VFX on a 6 by 3 metre uneven surface such as this was. And this clearly is not happening, especially when VIA are returning multiple times to botched jobs. Residents immediately blame the councillor, the local councillor, immediately. But that doesn't do this authority's reputation any good. When we asked on several occasions how many jobs VIA had to return to, they wouldn't dare tell us. And when we asked the former chairman of the Communities in Place how many jobs they'd
20 seconds, Councillor Martin.
We never got an answer. I hope that this council can be more transparent on the highways repairs going forward, and the setting up of the new panel is a good start to this administration carrying out the work of the former Communities in Place Development and Review Committee, which was an excellent panel. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Philip Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and can I congratulate you on your appointment as Chairman of the County Council, not least because it means that we shall have the welcome return of your wife Wendy to the council chamber, and of those who were members during the time that she was an elected member. Who can forget her contributions across the council chamber? I heard phrases that I've never heard before, but then again, I come from Bulwell, so I've had a very sheltered upbringing. And can I formally invite the pair of you to the centre, to the heart of Nottinghamshire? And for those who aren't aware where the centre of Nottinghamshire is, it lies exactly at Nuttall and Kimberley. And so can I formally welcome you and invite you to visit those two wonderful places. However, yes, but do avoid the bus plug at all costs. However, what I want to really talk about this morning is what is affecting two of the estates in my division, namely the Mornington estate and the Horsendale estate, because they are being plagued, and I use that word again, but they are being plagued by what is called antisocial behaviour. In fact, it really isn't antisocial behaviour, because that tends to minimise the things that are happening. It's being plagued by criminal activity in the form of off-road motorbikes that are unlicensed, uninsured, and indeed unregistered. Residents are being disturbed on a regular basis. Residents are, in fact, endangered by this activity that has been going on now for far too long. Much of the activity takes place on a park that is adjacent to these two estates, which is owned and operated by the City Council. So you can imagine the difficulties in trying to get them to take any action. The park itself should be policed by the City Police Division, but when you complain to the City Police Division, they say, well, we're not getting complaints from residents of the city. You talk to your own police division, which of course is Broxtowe. And what Broxtowe say is, well, we don't police that area, that is the city. And so you have got these problems, you have got these issues. And the complaints continue to roll in. And it really is not fair on residents that they should have to endure the noise and the danger of these criminals, because that is what they are. They are criminals, and we need action to be taken as soon as possible. There is a need to refocus priorities. These are the complaints that I receive the most of all. The antisocial behaviour, the criminal behaviour of these off-road motorcyclists. And I look forward to the new Police and Crime Commissioner dedicating more resources to dealing with this particular, to deal with this particular problem, so my residents can live the life that they are entitled to, that is a quiet life in their own properties. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Can we move on then to agenda item 10, which is presentation of petitions? I've only been notified of 2. I don't know whether any more have come in, Chief Executive. May I remind members there is a 1-minute time limit for the presentation of each petition? And can I call upon Councillor Neil Clark to present his petition for a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout Cropwell, Butler Village?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and can I take the opportunity to congratulate you very much, and also the Vice Chairman, on your election to offices, and I hope you have a very successful term of office, both of you. As you have just indicated, Mr. Chairman, I have pleasure in presenting a petition from the residents of Cropwell Butler. They've been very concerned with rat running through the village and excessive speed, and we have about 70% of the population wishing to sign this petition for a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in the village. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I call upon Councillor Roger Upton, who has a petition to request double yellow lines on the part of the Green at Radcliffe-on-Trent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, congratulations to you and the Vice Chair. I really would like to present you with a petition concerning highway safety at the Green, Radcliffe-on-Trent. The petitioners are asking for double yellow lines.
Councillor Upton, can I just remind you of protocol that when you're speaking, you stand?
My apologies. New to the game. Start again. Congratulations to you and the Vice Chair on your appointment. I'd like to present you with a petition concerning highway safety at the Green, Radcliffe-on-Trent, with a request for double yellow lines to be considered. Thank you, Chair. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Upton. Do you want to come forward with your petition? Could I ask that the Council resolve that the petitions be referred to the appropriate committees for consideration and a report be brought back to the Council in due course in accordance with standing orders? All in favour? Clearly carried. Move on then to agenda item 11, the revised committee system. Can I call upon Councillor Ben Bradley to introduce the report and move the recommendations?
Thank you, Chairman. We are bringing forward some structural changes to better enable us to tackle this administration's priorities. Many of them have been touched upon by members already. In summary, without repeating what is in the agenda pack, you'll notice what was formerly the Place Committee with the largest committee brief you could ever possibly imagine that left Councillor Cottee with some wonderful experiences in these council meetings as the focus of pretty much every single question that came forward. That committee will change. Councillor Clark will now take pretty much every single question that comes forward. It's also a department that includes a number of our key priorities, and I know members who have been here in previous administration will recognise the need for us to separate out those duties somewhat. So we'll instead have a communities committee looking at issues like our heritage, culture, libraries and other related policies, and we will have a transport and environment committee, which of course does exactly what it says on the tin. Additionally, we have a new economic development committee, which will seek to put further emphasis on the good we can do in our communities in terms of supporting growth, recovering from coronavirus and how we manage our assets. We've got a lot of economic clout here at the council that I feel we can put to better use than we maybe have in the past for the benefit of our residents. These are key priorities for us going forward, and the structures will allow us to focus on those priorities, including, of course, as I've said, rebuilding in the wake of an incredibly difficult period. These committees will replace previous structures, so it's important to say we don't have more committees or more expenditure as a result. These will replace the previous place and place review committees and the COVID recovery committee, whose functions will now be shared across the various health portfolios and, of course, economic development. So I think this is a very practical approach, one that will allow us to better manage our priorities and deliver services. And I note that opposition groups have put forward members to sit on these committees, so I trust that we can all agree that it is an appropriate way forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Can I call upon Councillor Barnfather to second the motion, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Happy to second the motion and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Have you any speakers? Councillor Folt?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, I agree this is much better. In particular, I think picking apart that place committee is clearly needed to happen. I'm sure Councillor Cottee is very happy about it because it was difficult. So that was great. Just a couple of things I just would like to suggest. I still think there should be a joint health scrutiny committee with the city. What that would enable us to do then would be to actually look at patient need rather than kind of working around geographical boundaries. So health scrutiny committees actually kind of work to make sure that actually health services are delivered for patient need. And of course, a lot of our residents actually use health services in the city. So I just think that would be really worthwhile to have a look at, even if it just kind of met, I don't know, perhaps 3 or 4 times a year. So you could look across and actually look at rather than the geographical boundaries. Just one other thing as well is, and I think the Economic Development and Asset Management Committee looks good. The only thing when I read the remit was that I would like to see, and I hope there will be, a real focus on actually developing and supporting our local economy. I think it's really important for local jobs, for local business, and I think really that should be the a big focus of that committee, rather than kind of some of the bigger issues that are actually in there. That may be intended, but it certainly wasn't worded in that way in here. So I just sort of pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else indicated to speak? Councillor Carr?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm sure it was remiss of you. It's your first meeting that, of course, the protocol is you can stand up if you can. To remind people of that. If they're not, 8 weeks ago, I wanted to be able to stand up, but that's another matter. I welcome this report. I think it's got some very good things in it. I do agree with Councillor Fole, though, that we're in a very situation, because particularly the south of Broxtowe, parts of Rushcliffe, parts of Gedling, look to health services within the city rather than the county, QMC, the city hospital, etc. So we need to get our heads around how we're going to deal with that moving forward, and I'm sure that we can do that together. Also, it's very, very welcome that I've seen a letter that Councillor Girling has written to the chair of the Jobs and Economy Committee at Broxtowe, Tim Hallam, who happens to be a Liberal Democrat, and it would appear that the new leadership at the County Council want to work very closely with the boroughs and the districts on economic development and moving forward from the pandemic, and that is greatly welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Girling, you indicated.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. As the hopefully, if it gets voted through, the Chairman of Economic Development and Asset Management, I can assure Councillor Fole that is the intention, and I've got a committee chairman. I've got 2 committee chairmen in the committee, and one of them will be focusing on that very aspect to it, to help improve the economy of Nottinghamshire, working closely with the districts and boroughs. I think that's really important, because they have their role also in terms of working on the economy and making sure that their particular areas benefit from it. I want us to work sort of cross-party, across the board, so that the whole of Nottinghamshire benefits, so that we can drive our economy up. Yeah, the way I look at it as a Conservative, people do well, they pay taxes and we can spend it. Okay, so it's all part of it. The assets is obviously a big part of this committee, and I'll be looking at all the assets in Nottinghamshire, particularly where there's a liaison with the districts, where we might be holding something up, or you might be holding something up, where we can maybe come to some sort of joint arrangement so that we both benefit from it. So I'm very much looking forward to working with all the Economic Development Committee chairmen in the boroughs and districts around the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Girling. Councillor Maureen Dobson.
Oh, my full title, Chairman. Thank you very much indeed. Can I turn to page 72? I too think revision of the committee system is good, excellent, and like it's been said, John Cotty, bless him, went on and had to go on, and he got every question from this authority, from the membership, every time we had a council meeting. So, John, heave a sigh of relief, I think. As for you, Mr. Clark, I think you're going to need to heave a sigh of relief when you no longer do the job, because it's going to be the most important job on the council. If you turn to page 61 of 72, at the bottom it says responsibility for making observations on relevant planning matters on which the county council is consulted in accordance with the agreed protocol. I think the protocol needs looking at, and it needs looking at seriously. Wearing my twin hat, and I know Keith Girling and Roger and Bruce will agree, we get silly things that come before us at district to make a planning decision, but we do not ask for funding for roads, for instance. We do for schools. We do for, occasionally, the health service put themselves forward. But we never say to a big developer, right, we want some money towards the roads, because that new development creates more traffic creates more potholes. So if we could look at that, Mr. Bradley, I would be most grateful. If it would be something you and Mr. Clark would look at, I'd be grateful. Perhaps you could put me on that cross-party working party. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dobson. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought I'd better just respond to that. Certainly, first of all, if I could just say, and we're talking about it later on, but highways, roads, potholes, etc., we do hope to be reviewing that. And so I think that's an area where we need to all be working together and not confrontationally, because as we should be proposing, the panel, the review panel, we want it to be cross-party, so we all have an input and we all have a contribution to make. So, as you have indicated many times, Mr. Chairman, it's about the people of Nottinghamshire, not about us confrontation between us. And I just wanted to respond to Councillor Dobson's comment about highways contributions, because actually highways contributions are requested on planning applications and approvals. So along with education and health contributions, there are highway contributions that are also requested that are included in the large developments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Saddington, I think.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to refer to the Health Scrutiny Committee, which, should this agenda item be approved, then I will become the chairman of the Health Scrutiny Committee. Might I say, I have a very able vice chairman, and we are looking forward to this committee extremely, I can assure you. And I have Councillor John Doddy, who also wants to be included, so that we can look at health right across the county. Might I tell you that the first meeting, we're looking at the NUH, which I think, if I'm correct, is in the city, and therefore we shall be looking at the maternity services. And believe me, they will be called to account. There is no doubt about it. We will then be looking at diabetes, and it can go right across the county, as far as I'm concerned, because we're dealing with Queen's Medical, and everybody in the county goes to Queen's Medical. The following month, we're going to be looking at the ambulance service, and I seem to think the ambulance service goes quite right across Nottinghamshire too. And when we have looked at those, which were proposed by the last committee, and the committee chairman, Keith Girling, who did a very good job, we shall be looking at primary care right across the board, and we shall be looking at mental health, because I feel that as we come out of this lockdown, we've got young people, middle-aged people and old people who are all affected by the lockdown, plus the fact there were those people who in fact had mental problems before the lockdown. And I want to see that they're going to be treated as a person, not given a tablet and be told to go away and all will be well. Each person needs to be looked at and to be helped, because that is what we're suffering from at the moment, a huge proportion of mental health. So I hope everybody will be satisfied. We will go across the board. I've got John Doddy here, who is waiting for us to go into Queen's Medical, to the accident and emergency. We're going into the ambulance hub. We're going into mental homes. I can assure you we are going to go to the very, very bottom of this. And at lunchtime, if anybody wants to make themselves known who are on my committee, I'd be only too happy to see you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order 86. I hear what Sue Saddington is saying, but please will you all remember, certainly the division I represent is on the Lincolnshire border, and not everybody from our medical centre goes to Queen's Medical. They go up to Lincoln City. So I will have a word with John Doddy and Sue afterwards, Chairman, but I just wanted to correct that not everybody in the county goes to Queen's Med. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Yes, thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak on this issue. I think we've got a bit of a confused brush here. So I'm probably the councillor that's been on health scrutiny for the longest time in this room, actually. And There's a confusion. So when the previous Labour administration used to run health scrutiny, they used to allow the district and city and borough councillors to come to the committee meeting. And when the Conservatives took control in 2017, they put an end to that. And the reason was because it wasn't in our constitution to allow outside councillors to vote on county council issues. However, having said that, there is a major convolution of health services, as we all know, because the people from Newark and Sherwood use Kingsmill, the people from Hucknall use Queens. We all use health services all over the county, and it would be advisory and it would be probably beneficial to the Health Scrutiny Committee to allow councillors from the district and boroughs and the city council to attend, even if they can't vote, just so that they may be able to contribute from their perspective, from their areas. I'm not asking for them to come to every one, but it may be beneficial to the health scrutiny of the county and the city region as a whole if that convolution was dissolved in that manner. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Place.
Can I just say as well, people in Bassetlaw use Doncaster and Sheffield as well as Worksop rather than be brought right down here.
Thank you, Councillor Place. Well noted. Councillor Carr.
Just clarification, Chairman, was that a proposal from Councillor Martin, or because if it was, I'm quite happy to second it.
If you'll indulge me, Chair, I will propose it, and Councillor Carr can second it, but it's up to the administration to implement the changes.
If I can, from the chair, if you're wanting to amend what is a motion, we should have done this earlier on in the business, and I'm sure that the chair of the Health Scrutiny Committee will welcome any input that any member wishes to give, and I suggest that you raise that matter again at the first committee meeting.
I accept that, Chair.
I'm happy to go for anywhere away days anywhere. Lincoln, Bassetlaw and Kingsmill. We will look at it all. Just make it known to me. For goodness sake, make it known to me. I've got a good committee behind me. I've got an excellent vice chairman. Let's get on with it. Let's drill down and let's see.
Thank you, Councillor Seddington. I think that's the end of those who have indicated. Councillor Bradley, do you wish to... Sorry, Councillor Barnfather, do you wish to...
Thank you, Chairman. Just a few observations. The new committee system, as proposed by the leader, is meant to actually empower all members in this chamber to make decisions, to contribute and to make decisions, to empower committees to be able to make decisions about matters which fall within their individual remit, and to allocate resources that are at their disposal. I think this is a much more democratic way of doing things, perhaps a little bit more bottom-up rather than top-down. Certainly in my previous occupation, I invariably found that the best ideas came from the floor, and I was always more than happy as the SIO to steal their ideas and of course claim all the credit for them. And I'm hoping that is the way that the new committee system will work. Just picking up on a couple of the observations that Councillor Fole raises in relation to I suppose the impact potentially of the integrated care system, and I'll let the leader speak on that because he is far more knowledgeable on that subject than I am, and it's always good to put him, of course, on the spot at his first meeting. But I do welcome the interventions from other members, particularly Councillor Saddington, as the chair of the new Health Scrutiny Committee, that she is prepared at this stage, and along with Councillor Dr. Doddy, as the chair of the Health and Wellbeing Board, to listen to anybody about anything that affects those particular areas and falls within the remit of those committees. This is about a learning exercise. So I welcome the fact that Councillor Martin actually sort of withdrew any proposed amendment. I think this is a little bit of a suck it and see time. This is a new establishment of committees with some changes to the remit and their terms of reference, and I think it will need a bedding in process. But I know I speak for all committee chairs and the leadership of this administration that everybody wants to listen. and to pick up on any ideas that come, whether they come from members of this chamber or whether they are contributions from the district councils or indeed from the City Council. So as we move forward, we will obviously refine and develop the way in which we operate. And I thank Councillor Clark for his intervention in relation to the point that was raised by Councillor Dobson. Certainly my experience as a long-time member of a district council planning committee and a chair of a planning committee at this authority is that applications for resources through developer contributions are made all the time. That is an ongoing process that has been in place for many, many years. So I am more than happy, as I've already stated, to second the paper that is before us today. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Barnfather. Councillor Bradley, do you want to exercise your right of reply?
Thank you, Chair. Just very briefly, Councillor Barnfather covered off most of the points that I would have raised in response. I think I welcome the comments from members. Before we got led off on a slight tangent there about the welcome changes to the committee system, I think we can all agree. Whether it is perfect or not, we will find out, but it's certainly better as an approach, I hope. And as Councillor Barnfather has said, we aim to empower those committees to take more decisions rather than try and do everything from the leader's office. Just to follow up on your points, Councillor Fole, I think, and I hope we have the opportunity through consultation and implementation of the integrated care system to look at that health approach across the whole county, including the city, across social care, across primary care and other elements that come forward without impacting on those boundaries where people do go outside of the county to access hospital care, which is a separate thing. So we do have the opportunity to look at that in great detail. And across the board, based on, again, your comments, Kate, and others, we do intend to work with other organisations across the whole county. I've met already with the city, with our universities, with other public sector organisations to look at how we can work more effectively together to deliver better and more innovative public services. That's going to be a huge priority for this administration, and one where I hope that all councillors on those committees will give us their ideas and their thoughts to be able to take those away and work on. So I think that was all in wrapping up, Chair, and I look forward to some lunch.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Can I put are there any amendments? No. Can we put to the vote then, please? All in favour? That looks unanimous to me. As Councillor Bradley has alluded, it is past lunchtime, so I think this is a good place to break. But can I remind members that we have 6 questions and 4 motions, and that I would ask that we be brief in the afternoon because we will not be going past 5:30 because I have other engagements this evening. So if we can then, can we adjourn for lunch? Can we let the members of the public and guests and press leave before we move, and we will be invited to go through for lunch. Thank you.